Welcome back. He was known to millions as adoring fans, ER's Dr. Carter, but these days Hollywood heartthrob Noah Wyle has hung up his stethoscope and can be found hanging around with aliens. Before we chat with him, let's all swoon as we look back at the dishy doc in action.
I'm Dr. Carter. I'm going to be taking care of your wife.
No, John!
How you like me now?
Don't have him page me, have him come to the ER.
How you like me now?
And clear? It's really going to hurt.
How you like me now? How you like me?
We need to keep you under observation for a while. Healthy? I feel terrific.
When I eat you up.
She's talking. We can do our laundry together. I'll do your tax plan. You know, laundry's deductible.
Really? Okay. I'll get us some sandwiches.
If I sing a sad, 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 sad
Helping them is more important than how we feel.
to me, would you? So how you like me now?
Noah's here now, and he just said watching that, it's like looking at a high school yearbook.
Yeah, a bit.
So when you started doing that, you've said that in actual fact you were quite low down on the totem pole.
Very much so, yeah. I think I was listed as number 5 or 6 on the call sheet at that time. But I was 22 years old. That was a huge opportunity for me, that show.
And so how long did it take for you to realise that you were, actually, I'm going quite high on this pole?
Well, Sherry Stringfield left the show, George Clooney left, Eric LaSalle left, Anthony Edwards left, Juliana Margulies left, and I found myself at the top of the call sheet at that point. Yeah.
And then once you find yourself there, then after 11 years, then you leave. Was that a big decision to make?
Yes. I mean, it was a job that, you know, I'm going to be eternally grateful for. And it wasn't until after my son was born that I ever even thought about leaving.
Yeah.
But after he was born, it was the first time I ever looked at my watch on set and thought, come on, let's go.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I think there's some place I'd rather be.
Yeah,
So how hands-on was Spielberg during ER?
He was involved in the beginning and pretty tangential after that. But he's incredibly involved in this new show.
Yeah, so there's the link. The link, is that a link to how you got the gig?
It's sort of twofold. It's that association, and I've done a lot of work for TNT, which is the American station that produces the show. I've made a couple of TV movies with them, so it was both of those relationships that brought this
We should
about.
explain that what we're talking about now, this link between the two, is that Steven Spielberg is the executive producer of ER, but also Falling Skies,
Yes.
which is on FX. Show you a clip in just a second. We should explain what it is. I mean, this is sci-fi, but this is heavy sci-fi, serious sci-fi.
It's straight up sci-fi. Aliens invaded the planet. They're eradicating most of the population, taking out the power grid, and those few survivors that are left are having to fight as sort of a resistance group to try and throw them off our planet.
And that's kind of where you left us at the end of the last series.
We left, and we pick up the second series right where we left off with my character walking on the spaceship to have dialogue with the Overlord alien for the first time.
Well, this is I think they call them genres now. This is the sci-fi, one of those areas that you've got to win people over because the fans are very serious about good sci-fi.
Yes. There's an analogy to be drawn between ER's audience, which was mostly a medical community audience, who would tune into the show to watch mistakes and be critical of the way we were portraying them. But I find the science fiction audience to pay even closer attention to detail, and you really have to honor the commitment that they're making to watch the show by making sure you dot all your I's, cross all your T's, and have your mythology intact.
So how does it work then? Because I always think with a series like this, if you already... does it have an ending, or is it one of those things that's just going to keep going?
It's a little bit of both. You craft an overall sort of Bible of what the mythology is going to be, and you stretch that over 3 or 4 seasons, and then that's pretty much a loose outline, and then you flesh it out as characters begin to pop, relationships work or don't work, you kind of fill in the blanks
and see how it goes.
Yeah.
Well, not only are you Tom Mason, who is this ex-professor, and one of his sons has been captured by the aliens, you were protecting your other sons, but you're acting and producing.
I am.
Now, there's a responsibility and a half, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying it, though. I've done television for quite some time now, and this is the first time I've had an actual seat at the creative table, and it feels really wonderful to have sort of a stake of ownership and a creative say in what it is I'm doing. And they've been wonderful about letting me feel very much like a collaborator.
But doesn't that mean sort of when you're meant to be learning your lines, somebody comes up to you and says, oh, hang on a minute, there's not a vegetarian option in the canteen today?
Yes.
And you're like,
all the problems arrive at your doorstep. But I kind of enjoy that part of the job. It keeps my mind active during very long shooting days to sort of be able to troubleshoot troubleshoot and come up with answers on the fly. I enjoy that.
Let's have a look at a clip. Here you go.
Whatever it is, can it be stopped?
That's up to you.
Me.
Tom, it's time to face facts. They've won. There's no use prolonging hostilities for either side.
Meaning what? They're asking for a ceasefire?
No, they're allowing the resistance to surrender.
Allowing the resistance to surrender. Sounds like we've been more trouble than they expected.
Don't overestimate a few small victories.
Love the fact that it plays to all our fears that the aliens arrive and the first thing they do is take down the grid, the electrical grid.
Yes.
Throws you straight back to the 18th century.
Exactly.
It
No,
goes
man has
dark.
reason to fear the night again, which is kind of a novel concept, yeah.
You mentioned your son. It's Owen, isn't it?
Yes.
Is he nine years
He
old?
is.
And so how does he feel about you being involved in something like
He's
this?
pretty much directly responsible for it. After I left the ER, I stayed away from television for a few years, and then I got the itch to work, and I had a few different pilot scripts to choose from at one point. And I put the decision to him. I said, do you want to see your dad be a policeman or a lawyer or an insurance adjuster or
fight
an alien
aliens?
fighter? And he looked at me like,
That's a no-brainer, Dad.
What did he think when you got arrested then, when you're thrown in the slammer?
yeah, well, it was actually one of the most moving moments of my life. I was arrested in a protest in Washington, D.C. with a group called ADAPT, who are protesting cuts in Medicaid services for the disabled. I promised a friend of mine I'd go and take part in the action with him, but I didn't tell anybody I was going to do it. And after I was released, I called my son to tell him I'm fine, I'm safe, this is what happened, this is why I went. And he's 9, and I thought maybe I had been going on a little long in my explanation, but as soon as I finished talking, he said, Dad, I think you did the right thing.
Oh,
And I just brought tears to my eyes. And I
bless
thought,
him.
Well, you said that the time that you spent, was it 6 or 7 hours locked up?
it was long, it was about 12, 13.
Oh, was it that
actually.
long?
Oh, was it?
No, obviously no mobile phones,
No.
no communication with the outside world, which, you know, sort of in a communications industry must have been a little strange.
Yeah, but it was also incredibly rewarding in a way. And that's one of the themes about our show that I like very much is without the benefits of modern technology, personal relationships and communication and interpersonal dialogue become really poignant and significant again. And I found that to be true when they had us in this holding cell. As we all just sat around and talked, and I was arrested with about 125 other demonstrators, and we just spent the afternoons sort of sharing life stories and talking, and I found that to be so incredibly genuine and novel these days that I almost enjoyed it.
What, did you, once you were let out and they gave you your phone back again, did you get any messages from Clooney, who of course the month before had also
Yeah.
spent time in serving in the
Yeah, he
slammer
sent
as
me
well?
a text asking if I needed bail money.
Because it was part of a Sudanese
Yeah.
Yes.
demonstration for George.
There
So
he is right there.
maybe will you get together and share stories
Yeah,
of your time.
Well,
prison
it's
life.
funny. Everybody on ER got sort of politicized early. There was such a popular show that we were all inundated with requests to stump for various charities and causes, and each of us, we pick and choose the ones that have some resonance with us. But I'm incredibly gratified each and every time I see one of my former colleagues stand up for something they believe in. Especially George, who has always walked the
it's very
walk.
good.
Did he give you a car?
Yeah, he did.
Did you sell the car?
In a way. He gave me a beautiful 1960 Oldsmobile convertible, which I kept for a very long time. But I called it the gift that kept on taking, because I put tremendous amounts of money to make this thing right. It was one of those cars. He told me when he gave it to me, you have to start it with a screwdriver. You hit pump the gas 7.5 times. Don't do 8 because you'll flood. It was one of those kind of cars. So I kept it for about 12 years, and then I called him up and asked him if he would mind if I sold it, and he said no. So we auctioned it off to the Red Cross after Katrina and raised a little money for them.
That's brilliant. Great story.
lovely to
It's
meet you. Thank
if
you
you
very
if you
much.
want to catch up with Falling Skies, if you're a sci-fi fan, you're absolutely going to love it. Maybe you will, even if you don't. It's the 5th of July, and it's on FX. And thank you very much indeed.
Thank
My
you.
pleasure. Nice to be
Thank you,
here.
thank you.
Thank you. Right, it's competition time now. £36,000 in